And then I just kind of had this awkward moment of like, did I just harass Britney Spears? And I looked back and my co-stars are laughing, like Yael, who plays Petra.
Blake Lively walked into that courtroom convinced she was the smartest person there. But she wasn't. She tried to play legal chess with people who actually understand the rules, and she lost before the game even began. Her team filed a lawsuit that had all the substance of one of Ryan Reynolds' forced laughs in a gin commercial, flimsy, hollow, and barely holding itself together. But buried inside that thin filing was a single calculated move. A subpoena aimed at accessing someone's private messages. The target was a woman named Jennifer Al. She's not a celebrity, not a public figure, just someone who apparently had receipts Blake didn't want the world to see. And Blake wanted those messages badly. So what did her legal team do? They submitted a meaningless John Doe case. No real defendant, no real argument, just a loophole to quietly obtain Eel's texts. It was essentially the legal equivalent of suing a ghost just to pry into someone's phone. Somehow, they managed to secure those messages within 24 hours, the fastest work Blake's team has ever shown, and then immediately dropped the case. Gone, erased, vanished faster than Blake's credibility after Age of Adultery. It's a shady move, like breaking into someone's house, grabbing the jewelry, and leaving a note saying, "Oops, wrong address." That isn't strategy. It's legal theft, and now the court is calling it out. Blake thought she was pulling off an Ocean's 11-style master plan, but she ended up looking more like the person caught stuffing steaks down their trousers at Walmart, sloppy, embarrassing, and totally exposed. Meanwhile, Jennifer Al had no idea she was even involved. One day, she was living her normal life, and the next, her private conversations were being passed around like appetizers at a Hollywood brunch. Completely unacceptable. Here's the part Blake didn't expect. The judge isn't amused. Courts don't operate on ego or celebrity aura. They deal in facts. And the facts here are brutal. The lawsuit was fabricated. The subpoena was dishonest. The motive wasn't justice. It was revenge. Now the whole scheme is coming apart. Reporters are picking up the scent. Legal analysts are shaking their heads. And Justin Baldoni's team is preparing their counterstrike. They've examined the filings, seen the tactics, and are now exposing every shadowy maneuver Blake's side tried to conceal. So congratulations, Blake. Not only did you lose control of the narrative, you practically gift-wrapped it and handed it to Baldoni's lawyers, who are now using it to fuel your own downfall. This wasn't a courtroom victory. It was a full-blown courtroom faceplant. Blake Lively is flat on the floor. Let's get one thing straight. Blake's subpoena wasn't a legal request. It was a smash and grab wrapped in legal jargon. Here's how it unfolded. Her legal team filed a case against a collection of entirely made-up people. The filing was literally titled Banzan vs. John and Jane Does 1 to 10. That's not a lawsuit. That's the placeholder text you use when you've got nothing. No facts, no actual names, just desperation and printer ink. But the objective was never to win. The real aim was to unlock private messages belonging to Jennifer Al, someone connected to the genuine case involving Justin Baldoni. Al had information Blake's team desperately wanted, but they had no lawful way to obtain it, so they conjured a reason out of thin air. Using this bogus lawsuit, they sent a subpoena to Eel's workplace demanding her phone records. Not because she was a defendant, but because she possessed the inconvenient truth Blake wanted silenced. And now the court is seeing the scheme for exactly what it was, a thinly veiled attempt to invade privacy, manipulate evidence, and weaponize the legal system for personal revenge. Every misstep is documented. Every shady maneuver is on record, and Blake's credibility has been obliterated. Blake Lively's legal stunt was meant to be a masterclass in smoke and mirrors, or at least that's what she believed. Her team filed a lawsuit with one objective: access Jennifer Eel's private texts. On the surface, it looked legitimate. Filings, subpoenas, official language, but beneath it all was a Trojan horse, polished on the outside, deceptive and dangerous on the inside. And the moment they had their hands on those messages, the lawsuit evaporated. Poof, dismissed. No trial, no follow-up, no accountability. Just thanks for the texts. Cheers. It's like robbing a bank and withdrawing your last tenner the next morning to make it look respectable. Except courts have judges, and this judge saw straight through the act. Blake's team wanted secrets and were willing to bend the law to get them. But in doing so, they left fingerprints all over the crime scene. And now those fingerprints are being laid out in court one by Justin Baldoni's lawyers. This wasn't a minor misstep, it was a full blueprint for manipulation. And it's now blowing up spectacularly in Blake's face. Once Baldoni's legal team called out the sham subpoena, they did exactly what any competent barristers would do. They demanded to see the full original document. Every line, every request, every scrap of legal fluff Blake's team used to snatch those private messages. That's when the cracks appeared. The version Blake's team handed over wasn't complete. Lines missing, paragraphs redacted, whole sections suddenly unavailable. It's like claiming the dog ate your homework, except the dog is wearing a tailored suit and charging by the hour. Think about this. If you'd filed a lawful, legitimate subpoena, you'd present it proudly. You'd frame it and hang it on the wall. But Blake's team panicked, stammering, sweating, scrambling for excuses, like a student caught copying their homework 5 minutes before class. It was absurd. Baldoni's lawyers didn't just sense something fishy, they were practically swimming in it. Because if the subpoena had been honest, there would have been no reason to hide anything. These omissions weren't oversights. They were deliberate, designed to keep the court and the public from seeing the truth. And this isn't merely paperwork. This is lying by omission. It's about controlling what the court sees, twisting the narrative, and weaponizing the legal system. That's not strategy, that's legal gaslighting. The more Blake's team tries to cover up, the deeper the hole becomes. When your case relies on hiding the truth, eventually the truth buries you. And if you thought Blake Lively's fake lawsuit was bad, wait until you hear about the lawyers who executed it. The firm behind this stunt isn't some shabby back-alley operation. It's a big name, high-priced, glossy law office, glass walls, tailored suits. The sort of place that charges £800 an hour to explain how to commit legal misconduct with polished vocabulary. But now they're facing ethics complaints. Serious ones. Allegations that they abused their position to obtain confidential information, filed a fabricated lawsuit to seize private texts, and used legal authority as a blunt weapon rather than a tool of justice. Basically, they treated the law the same way Blake treats sincerity. Bend it, fake it, and throw it out the moment it becomes inconvenient. This isn't courtroom gossip. This isn't a minor embarrassment. This is career-threatening, and it's all unfolding in plain sight. Every misstep, every omission, every shady maneuver is now on record. And Blake's carefully controlled empire is collapsing under the weight of the very legal system she tried to manipulate.
Ethics boards don't play games. If even a fraction of the complaints against Blake Lively's legal team holds up, the lawyers involved could face suspensions, fines, even disbarment. That's not a slap on the wrist. That's a career wipeout. No more court appearances, no more clients. Just a bleak little LinkedIn update reading, former lawyer, until I got caught bending the rules. And Blake? Silence. Not a word. Not a statement. Nothing. As if she didn't help load the weapon her lawyers fired. Here's the ugly reality. If your legal team is shady, you're shady. Blake didn't simply hire these solicitors. She empowered them. She backed them while they filed fake documents, concealed critical facts, and danced around the basic rules of legal ethics. And now it's all imploding. When a law firm starts sinking, everyone attached goes down with the ship, including Blake. Meanwhile, Justin Baldoni's team has been playing an entirely different game. While Blake's camp was spinning fairy tales in court, Baldoni's lawyers were quietly building a fortress of evidence. Texts, emails, phone logs, witness statements, everything. No fabricated subpoenas, no phantom defendants, just solid, undeniable proof. And when they placed their full stack of evidence on the judge's desk, the entire courtroom dynamic shifted. One email exposed Blake's team discussing Jennifer Ale before the subpoena was even filed. Proof the entire operation was premeditated. Another document revealed how urgently they scrambled to obtain Ale's messages, as if they hoped the judge wouldn't look too closely. Baldoni's team even called witnesses Blake assumed would stay silent. People who were actually present and knew the truth. The result? Courtroom checkmate. Blake's team thought they could overwhelm Baldoni with noise and theatrics. But his lawyers came armed with substance, while hers arrived with smoke and mirrors. Suddenly, Baldoni doesn't just appear strong. He looks intelligent, composed, and honest. The very qualities Blake tried so desperately to mimic. When your case is rooted in truth rather than drama, this is what happens. While Blake's camp hides behind shredded documents and flustered attorneys, Baldoni calmly stacks evidence like a fortress. Her case, by comparison, resembled a Pinterest board. Plenty of aesthetics, no structure, and entirely fabricated. She cast herself as the victim, painted Baldoni as the villain, and spun headlines to preserve her image. But the truth is relentless, and now her story is crumbling. Her claims wobble. Her timeline is riddled with holes, and with Baldoni's team laying out actual evidence, her narrative looks like a poorly written script even Ryan Reynolds would reject. And that's saying something. Courtroom humiliation is playing out in real time. Every bluff her lawyers attempted was called immediately. And now Blake stands in the middle of a legal minefield with nothing left but shaky PR statements, uncomfortable silence, and a rapidly deteriorating reputation. She claimed she wanted justice, but her actions screamed something very different. Desperation, control, and manipulation. And while Blake flails, Justin Baldoni proves the old truth. Patience, integrity, and honesty will always outlast theatrics and smokescreens. Blake Lively thought she was executing a master plan, but all she really did was trigger a chain reaction of her own making. Every move she made screamed revenge. Fake lawsuits, dodgy subpoenas, and a legal team now in such deep trouble they may need lawyers of their own. This wasn't bravery, it was manipulation. And the public is finally seeing it for what it is. Blake didn't just tell a story. Red carpet tears, perfectly staged, poor me interviews. Every moment polished to perfection. But when it came time to provide proof, she delivered theatrics instead of documents, emotion instead of evidence. And now the court, the press, and the public can all see straight through it. Meanwhile, Justin Baldoni hasn't flinched. No meltdowns, no dramatics, just calm, consistent facts. Every fabricated twist Blake adds only tightens the noose around her own narrative. At this point, her credibility isn't merely damaged, it's irreversibly shattered. This isn't a stumble from grace. It's a free fall, without a parachute. And she's the one who cut the cord. Her grand strategy was supposed to be the move that silenced Baldoni. The moment she rewrote the story to cast herself as the helpless, graceful victim. Instead, she pulled the pin on her own grenade and smiled while it detonated. What Blake didn't anticipate, and what her entire team failed to foresee, was that Baldoni fights differently, quietly, relentlessly, with every court filing, every piece of evidence, every lie exposed. As she fell, he rose, steady, unshaken, and backed by hard proof. Her glittering facade has become the anchor dragging her story under. This is no longer about legal strategy. It's about trust, credibility, and truth, and Blake has none left. She tried to weaponize the legal system like a PR machine, turning filings into headlines and hoping to destroy Baldoni's name. Instead, she set fire to her own image. The public isn't buying the act anymore. They've seen behind the curtain, and it's not pretty. Hollywood is watching. Brands are watching. Directors, producers, and studio heads, the people who actually control careers, are quietly whispering, perhaps she's more trouble than she's worth. Meanwhile, Baldoni continues doing what he always has, showing up, staying grounded, and letting the truth speak for itself. He doesn't need to shout. He simply waits while Blake collapses under the weight of her own schemes. In the end, she didn't lose because someone outsmarted her. She lost because she overplayed her hand, underestimated the power of integrity, and believed her own PR. This isn't just embarrassing, it's career-altering. A brand built on charm, polish, and perfection has been exposed as fragile, manipulative, and artificial. Blake Lively set out to take down Justin Baldoni, but all she managed to do was expose herself, gifting him the victory without him lifting a finger. Now the industry, the media, and the public can see it plainly. The illusion has evaporated. The truth stands firm and unshakable, while Blake's empire of smoke and mirrors collapses around her.